Hey everyone, I am TribalInstincts, and today I am talking about PayDay2. Now this is not a new game, however it is new for VR. Just about a week and a half or so ago, they dropped the VR update, and it's pretty cool. In this video, I'm talking about the game itself, as well as the comparison of the flat screen version versus the VR version, and which one I find better. So for those of you that don't already know, PayDay2 is a crime game. You are robbing banks, you are assassinating people, and you're pretty much just a very bad person. Not like Grand Theft Auto, more of just an episodic or mission-based game. There is quite a deep level of customization for your various stats, your weapons, your modifications. So there's a lot of things to unlock and progress and just, move the game along. And so while there's that component and quite a few missions for you to act on, the game doesn't really have a whole lot of deep gameplay. This is really just something that it's more like a standard Call of Duty type game where you're just going in, completing a mission, and then getting done. Longer than Call of Duty rounds, I will say. Typically, I'm looking at like 15 to 45 minutes for a game versus the standard like 10 minutes for a typical Call of Duty or any other shooter game. So while I enjoy this, if I were to be playing this with a standard mouse and keyboard just sitting in front of my computer, this game would not be worth the typical price of $34.99 as it is right now. I like the game, but there's just not enough there to keep me really interested. The game elements itself, they're fun, but it's repetitive, and so I probably really wouldn't play it too much. The multiplayer aspect really helps with this because playing with friends, it is a lot more engaging and it's a lot more fun. So I'm kind of on the fence if I were just playing with a mouse and keyboard. And then they added this. Now let me tell you, this right here makes this game for me. I love VR. You guys know that, so that there's probably no surprise that I like it more in VR. However, I have admitted before that some games are just better without VR, okay? This is not one of them. The enjoyment that I had in VR is significantly more. The game felt better. It felt more like I was actually there doing something versus just kind of like clicking around and going from objective and just shooting the same mindless thing over and over. The game was so much more intense in VR. Now, even after I say that, I'm just kind of like running that statement through my head, and it seems like that is kind of obvious. However, whenever I went into this, I expected the VR adaptation to actually maybe just slightly make it look a little bit better, or maybe it would just, be slightly better. But no, it was dramatically better. It goes from, I probably wouldn't buy this, to this is something that I'm probably going to be playing fairly regularly. It is a lot of fun. Not only can you just play the game in single player with some AI bots as your companions, but you can go and you can play multiplayer against people that are not in VR. So you will never have an issue going into VR and playing a multiplayer game with other people. You can't tell the difference between somebody that's in a VR headset versus somebody that's not. As this is a cooperative game, you don't really have to worry about any balance issues of mouse and keyboard or VR player having an advantage. You're all just sort of playing, and so it's not obvious if there is any advantage at all, and even if there is, it's not really a big deal. Now, gushing aside, this game is not yet completely done. This game, the VR implementation is a fantastic first run of it. There are plenty of things that I think that they need to improve on. However, even if they never touch it again, this game is already playable and enjoyable in its current state. The main issues that I've had with it is that only some of the VR components seem to be really fleshed out. Like aiming and shooting, that's easy. The inventory system, though, it could use some help. I find myself just accidentally switching weapons because you basically just kind of have like a palette always right here around your waist that if you just put your hand on, then it activates a different gun, so you can pick up your sidearm that way. So it's not fully loaded into the VR concepts yet, but it is a good enough first draft and a very good port from a traditional flat screen, mouse and keyboard to VR. There's just some extra things that they could do to make it even better. Even after just a few days of this game coming out, there's already a mod to allow free locomotion. So typically you just have a teleport system, or you can just move around Onward style if you use that mod. I personally didn't. I actually don't really find the free motion to be a critical requirement. I'm okay with teleportation, especially in this kind of game where there's so much going on around you. I know that I'd probably need a bucket very soon. In addition, and this is not just a complaint about VR, this is the game as a whole, it's kind of chaotic at times, and sometimes not in a great way. You have like 150 cops all outside trying to, gun you down, and at times it gets a little bit crazy, and some of the objectives, they're not very clear. So just the game as a whole, and this is probably the major reason why I wouldn't buy it if it didn't have the VR component, is that the game just kind of, it's kind of clunky in some of its objective progression, and some things, it just gets a little bit too nuts. So in summary, hats off to the developers of this game. They did a fantastic first run at doing the VR implementation. I hope that they progress it to make it a little bit more VR capable. But even as it is right now, solid recommendation if you like this genre. But if you're not into the just complete a mission type framework, then this probably isn't for you. And as for me, I am done here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button below. If you didn't, hit the downvote button and tell me what I can do to make them better. And if you want to see more, hit subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.